The Heart of It.
Roy West kicking in towards the centre.
A distinctly Tasmanian conversation.
I can feel what it will be like when Tassie plays his first game, and I just...
Lynch gathers, he's got loose men everywhere, but he decides to have a pump shot, and it's an absolute ripper! 200 goals for Peter Hudson. What a fantastic effort.
How did he do that? Bear kick finishes off in style.
Up towards half forward, Stewart flying over the top. Oh, pulled in a beautiful mark.
Well done from Scott. After all, Shredder's got the first goal. Has it done?
Nichols has had the big ruckman, but oh! Crosswell!
Hello and welcome to The Heart of It. I'm Alister Nicholson. My guest today has a story like few others. The son of a miner who was part of the crew working underground during the Beaconsfield mine collapse of 2006. A three-time premiership winning ruckman, now captain of one of the biggest clubs in the country. Toby Nankervis isn't one to seek the limelight. In fact, he deliberately steers clear of it. But he was happy to sit down for a chat about his Tasmanian experience and the role it played in his decorated career. Nankervis's life started in the tiny northwest farming communities of Rihanna and Caprona, before an interstate move that took him to many different towns and schools across the country. The family would return to Tasmania, settling in Georgetown. A talented fast bowler who once dismissed Australian captain Michael Clarke, Nankervis was progressing through the Tasmanian cricket pathway, but his love for football won out, and he committed to that path. A decision that has paid dividends with his hard-working and physical approach to the game, earning him respect across the entire AFL landscape. This is Toby Nankervis' story.
Nankervis, fancy spin out of the run. And a big Nank with a top shelf goal. Grabbed it, pirouetted and nailed it.
Great to see you, mate. Thank you so much for having a chat today.
Thanks for having me, Alister. Looking forward to it.
This is extra special given the magnitude of what's coming your way tomorrow. Can you let me in on what's happening tomorrow?
Yeah, no, crazy few weeks ahead, no doubt. My wife's 40 weeks tomorrow, so if I get a call and have to duck off, you'll know why, but I'm very excited.
I remember what it was like with our first child and obviously second as well, and the excitement and the uncertainty and everything, especially around the first. What's it like for you? Yeah,
I'm just so excited. I think we both are. We're probably a little bit naive to what's to come, but I think that's a good thing. I think we'll just learn on the go, and both are so excited.
What do you think it'll be like?
A few sleepless nights from what I can gather, and definitely a lot more responsibility. But we're both so very looking forward to it.
And Hayley's handled the whole thing well. She's been
healthy. Awesome. Yeah, been awesome. Again, very naive to the fact of what women actually go through. So a lot more respect for what my mum had to go through and the changes in her body and the sacrifice she had to make with her lifestyle. But she's been awesome and she'd be a great mum.
Touch on your mum there. Can you talk to me a bit about your family setup, what life was like growing up in the little northern town of Georgetown?
Yeah, so it's a little bit funny, my upbringing. I suppose most people probably just think I grew up in Tassie the whole time, but I was born on the northwest coast down there, just outside of Burnie, and called Rihanna, which is a great little part of the world.
No, very well.
Yeah, the rolling hills to the views of the sea. So amazing part of the world. All my family were down there. My nan was down there, and everything like that. My uncle and all my cousins. So it was great growing up down there, and actually moved over to the mainland when I was probably about 6 or 7, maybe a little bit older. So I spent time in Altona there for a little bit. I've spent time in Stawell, which some people will know for the Stawell gift.
Yeah.
And then headed over west to Kalgoorlie, a little mining town there, and over to Mount Isa, central Queensland, and back to Tassie when I was probably about 12. And then my dad was working to Georgetown, that was, so which I'm very comfortable with, Georgetown. That's probably where I spent most of my time growing up. But actually my dad was working in the Beaconsfield mine when that all happened, which was a crazy time for that. I think, my dad was actually on the crew, wasn't down that low, but that night that actually happened. And so he lost his job. So we've gone from Georgetown to Queenstown down the gravel there, Chris Fagan sort of territory. So I spent 12 or so months there and moved back up to Lonnie and Georgetown. Sorry, I went to school in Newstead. Yeah, probably 12 so months. So that took me to about 15 or 16. So I spent a bit of time everywhere, Alister. So
Wow.
yeah, I've been a bit everywhere, which at the time, like I was sort of like changing schools is very hard, and I'm obviously about to have a little one now, so I want to sort of create that stability if I can. But it is hard. But looking back, I think it does teach us so much, and having my brother, who's 2 years older, become really close through all that change. But childhood that took me everywhere there.
Yeah, absolutely, and not anywhere for particularly long. Just touching on the Beaconsfield mine tragedy then, so your dad knew Todd Russell, Brant Webb and Larry Knight? Yeah,
I think from memory, Alister, there was probably about 12 on the crew, maybe a bit less, and they all sort of, that was on their crew. I'm not sure how that all sort of works, but I just remember Dad coming home. He used to do night shift, and he'd come home, and I sort of seen him in the morning, and didn't really know to the extent of what was happening, and that was a crazy few weeks. A small little town in Tasmania, and it's just crazy the amount of, I suppose, coverage that got, but the extent of 2 guys trapped and or 3 guys, and obviously one of them lost their life. But that was a crazy little time, that one.
How did your dad cope with it? I mean, that's fairly traumatic, knowing that your mates had stuck in the mine, and then I think from memory they learnt reasonably early on that Larry had passed away, but they were uncertain about the other 2.
Yeah, no, it's he sort of, my old man, he sort of doesn't give much away, so he just tried to remain as probably calm as he could, but I've no doubt it really affected him. And working underground, for me, it's something I've never really want to do, but yeah, for him to obviously do that, and how scary that would be for someone working in a mine, he sort of continued to do that now, which is pretty crazy to think. But so I'd say it really would have affected him.
Which mine's he working in now?
He's down in the west coast of Tassie now. I can't even think of the name. It's in Savage River down there.
Okay,
and he sort of does shift work. Still works too hard for, or I think he's a 60-odd, and he still does, still doing 12-hour days, working night shift and that. But no, I really respect his work rate and how hard he works, and it's something I hope I've got from him.
Yeah, I mean that is one of the classic traits of you as a footballer, is work rate and competitiveness and toughness and hardness and resilience. So you think you inherited that from your dad? Yeah,
he's someone I always look up to. I think he's a very humble man, but he's the amount he sort of works, he doesn't complain at all, really. It's a really special trait. I hope I can look to develop further and instill into my children.
How old were you when you went to Queenie?
I reckon it's hard, Alister. It sort of rolls into one, but I would have been 14, I reckon. Yeah, so I was. It's funny to think Queenstown, for people that don't know, I think a few would, but it's a gravel oval, so probably due to the weather conditions out there and how much it rains and how cold it is. But playing footy on a gravel oval, and it's a pretty different sort of area. But I had some great mates down there, and the footy community down there is unbelievable. Sort of the seniors play, obviously the reserves, and we played school footy as well. So the amount the community turns out was unbelievable. I think they were pretty competitive, the seniors back then, the Queenie Crows. So
you played for Queenstown?
Just for school, like it sort of crossed over. We had a really good school team that I just played. We played midweek against the other Marist, Penguin, those sort of schools, and would travel and do that, which was awesome. Which would do the bus trip, and that was pretty good fun each way from the coast.
There's probably no greater home ground advantage, I would have thought, than when one of those teams comes down to play on the gravel in school football, is there?
It'd be that intimidating, and still for us playing on it. But it's sort of something you just get used to until someone says, what do you mean it's gravel? You sort of don't even think twice about it. But it's always funny now I hear when Fagan gets referenced from down there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And then cricket was hand in hand with your football when you were young, was it? Tell me about your cricket, where you played, and obviously that was an area that you had extreme talent in too.
Yeah, I love my cricket, and still today I don't think I'll ever play cricket again, but I much prefer watching cricket than footy. I'm addicted to Test cricket. I could watch that for 5 days straight. My wife sort of doesn't really know how I can do that. But I love cricket right the way through. I think my dad played cricket for Bernie Yeoman down there on the northwest coast, and he spent so much time in the nets giving us throwdowns and whatever he could. And I spent Yeah, largely my childhood was based around cricket, and footy was just probably an afterthought there for a long time. I made sort of all the squads and that for cricket there. I think I played like under 14s and 15s and played Tassie for under 17s, I think, and I was around the under 19 squad. But so that sort of was where my head was at and where my aspirations were. But I probably hit a point there where I stopped enjoying it as much as footy, because footy is such a team game, whereas cricket is probably more individual. And just going through those squads and whatnot, I probably lost the love for it a little bit. I love club cricket, playing for Georgetown there. I played with my brother there and some good mates there, I absolutely love that. But to progress, you sort of had to do their squads and all that, and which I sort of lost the love a little bit for that. But yeah, a massive part of my childhood was spent in the cricket nets, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's very competitive when you get to that level, and I suppose with football, as you say, it's the team game, and there are more opportunities to play. And cricket, with batting, for example, it's so brutal, isn't it? You were a fast bowler, though, weren't you?
Yeah, I was a bowler. Yeah, I think my brother, he's a pretty handy batsman at Corey, so I used to probably spend more time just trying to get him out. That's sort of honed my craft there and the fast bowling. But I got so many good opportunities playing for Georgetown. I think they sort of just, I'd either open the bowling or bowl first change as sort of 16, 17-year-old, which is awesome. You sort of learn so many lessons as well playing 2-day cricket back then and bowling a few overs, and you're in the field all day and whatever, and that's a real cricket, I think. So I love my time there.
Who's the best batsman you ever got out, do you reckon? At any level?
It's a funny one. It's actually, we got asked this early days that I had this stat of getting Ashton Agar out. I played under 17s and he was a star player. But I actually think I caught him out. That's a stat. But I've never put any up on that, but I've actually caught him out. But I played a bit with Bo Webster, and he was an absolute superstar. I doubt I ever got him out, but he was so good. He was playing sort of under 19s when he was 15 or 16, and to see him playing Test cricket now is unbelievable. And the progression, as you said, cricket is so competitive, and to see how much he's progressed and improved with the ball in the field, with the bat, it's pretty special. It was actually a story, Alister. I was playing in the under 19s. They used to do a pre-season sort of a camp, and the squad was maybe they took 15, 16 players away, and I was just on the cusp of that. I probably never really going to make it, but went over to Blacktown there and playing against a New South Wales squad, played a few 2020s, and I was sort of, maybe I'd come on and play one or two of the games, and because I'd sort of play a few 2020s a day and all that. And Michael Clark actually turned up. And he's BMW, he's wearing his designer clothes, strutting around. And he's had his batting coach there or something. He's come out to the middle, and both teams, New South Wales and Tassie, had their bowlers out there just to sort of just bowl to him for a little bit. And he sort of tried to drive one down the ground. He hit the toe of the bat and split the toe. And he's spewing, he's going off. He's like, whoever gets me out can have me bat. So I kept bowling. And I thought, I'm going to try and bounce him. Don't know what I was thinking. Probably bowling 115 back then, thinking I was killing it. But I've come in, bowled half track. It probably got about hip height. He smoked it to square leg and caught him. So I actually got Michael Clark's bat.
You got Michael Clark out and got his bat.
Yeah, he gave me his bat, had a split in it. So I actually don't know where that is at the moment. But that's probably the best player I've got out. And I'm not going to tell anyone how I did because it was a half tracker, but yeah, so I had his bat there for a bit.
That's a ripping story. And then when do you realise that obviously you play footy at North Launceston in the old state league, did you? When did you sort of start to feel like footy was becoming more of an option for you than cricket?
Yeah, footy is a funny one. I remember my brother, he was playing seniors at Georgetown, and he'd sort of do a bit of the pre-season with Georgetown, but I'd sort of just play cricket. And then after cricket finished, I'd roll into training. Bit underdone, I would have thought. But so I remember I would have been probably 16, 17. 16, I reckon I would have been. I've rolled into training with before the season started, and sort of played a few under 19s games for Georgetown, which you can imagine the standard there wasn't probably too crash hot, but I actually played pretty well and played seniors probably the third game, and I played the rest of the year in the seniors and had a really good season. And then post that, I sort of got invited to come down to a few of the under 18 state trainings and whatnot. And I sort of got approached by North Launceston to come down, have a kick, and that coincided with getting invited to the under-18s tryout for the Mariners back then. And I was sort of like, that's probably the turning point where I thought, footy, I'm sort of loving footy here a bit. So I played for North Launceston post playing for Georgetown and, got picked in the under-18 squad and played out the season with North and got a few games in the Mariners. I think I didn't start getting the games under-18s, but I played the probably last 3 games of the champs and actually got invited to the National Combine after that, which I'm not sure how much interest you sort of need, but obviously can't remember playing too well, but it must have shown a little bit.
I think if it's the Combine, you need to have multiple clubs showing interest, don't you?
Yeah, so I've obviously got invited to the Combine and done all the testing and stuff like that. It's funny because I'm not sure how much interest you need. Mine is 2 or 3 clubs, and I actually turned up to the Combine, done all 3K and all the tests, and I think I had Collingwood and Carlton down to do interviews with, and both of them come up to me and said, we don't need to see you anymore. So I didn't have one single interview. The other boys are getting 7 or 8 clubs.
Wow.
Yeah, so my first year at the Combine didn't have any sort of no interviews really.
So do you think they looked at your testing and thought, he's not quite at the
maybe,
level
yeah,
yet?
because as I said, I didn't know how to train hard at that point. I'd sort of probably carrying too much weight. I hadn't done a pre-season at that point, but I'm not sure what that was. So I didn't get picked up that season, and I suppose you still hold out hope. I was 18 that year, so you hold out hope, but probably realistically it was probably never going to happen for me that year. So after that, I sat down with Adam Sanders, he was a coach at the time, and he's pretty honest, Sando, and I owe him a lot. I definitely wouldn't be sitting here if Sando wasn't coaching. And he sort of just gave me both barrels a little bit and said, you need to get fit if you want to do it. He's shown so much belief in me. So, I got to work as an overager. So I was 19 playing in the under-18 comp and had a really good year that year. Even for North Launceston, the games I played there, starting to play some better footy, and sort of all happened for me there. I was sort of halfway through that year, I think. So I might have won the Div 2 player of the
You did. You shared the Harrison medal.
To go from
5
that,
against Northern Territory in a game.
To go to that sort of next level was a real testament to Sando and the belief he showed in me. And obviously they had a few more interviews the next year at the Combine, but lucky enough to get picked up after that. So I can't believe how quick it happened. Like from going from Georgetown country footy to getting a taste of state league footy to then, you're heading over to Sydney.
Was Zane Littlejohn your state league coach?
He was, yeah. And back then with the Mariners, that would take preference. So all your championship games and all that, you wouldn't play for your state league team. So I probably would have played half the games each year for North. So I didn't play a lot of footy there, but he was a great mentor for me. And you could already see that he was young then. You could sort of see he was going to progress because just the detail he had from the coaches I'd seen at that point was just so far over and above, and he's doing great things at the moment.
Yeah, it's awesome to see. And Taylor Whitford's in the system as well.
Yeah, no, it's great to see. And I'd imagine it would be very tough for guys that haven't played AFL footy to coach at AFL level, but it's so good to see it can happen now. If you've got the expertise there and you've got the work ethic and the desire to do it, it can be done. Yeah.
Did you cross paths much with he's Piper's River, isn't he, more than Georgetown, but Brendan Bolton back in the day?
No, I think few of the Georgetown blokes that I sort of know used to knock around with him a bit. And every time I'd see him, I'd sort of go up and shake his hand and say g'day, but I didn't have a whole lot to do with Bolts. But
Xavier Doherty, he's another Georgetown lad, isn't he?
It's funny, I actually played, I think Hobart, the TCA comp down there must have got washed out. So he come back and played for Georgetown, my first game for Georgetown actually. So that was pretty cool. And obviously his dad, Mike, who's a Georgetown bloke, he's still there, I think, in Lowhead down there, Mike. But he coached for a couple of years there at Georgetown when I played under him. So I'd always hear plenty of stories about the ex, but he had a bloody great career.
Yeah, absolutely. Didn't he? Test and one-day international cricket and T20s. Just while we're staying on Georgetown and Georgetown names, can't not go through a Georgetown conversation without mentioning the Chugs. Dale Chugg, what a legend.
Yeah, I think Georgetown, they might have won 7 flags. I'm not sure how many in a row, but yeah, my brother and I would sort of go up there occasionally on Saturday and just watch them go about it. And they were heroes when you're younger, watching the senior boys, just hoping maybe you'd run out there. And I can't believe I suppose I can believe, but just country footy and the atmosphere it brings to the community, and cars parked around there and the reserves stay and watch and have a beer after the game. It's a great thing that at Richmond we've tried to sort of bring a bit of that in. Dimble was great for that, to bring that real community feel to a club.
So inclusive, isn't it? Makes everyone feel good. There's lots of laughs, lots of banter.
Yeah, it's a great place, and especially now about to have a family. I think you sort of have, if you bring your kids and get them involved, I think that's a great thing now. Boys are happy to bring their kids in after a game, and for captains run and whatnot. It's that great, creates such a good environment, I think.
Yeah, that's so cool, isn't it? So you get drafted to the Sydney Swans at pick 35 in 2013. So what's the experience like of, I mean, you've travelled all around the place, but you've never really travelled to the Big Smoke before. It's all sort of regional mining towns that you've lived in. What was it like going to Sydney for you?
It was crazy. I think I read this book by Justin Lang. I'm not a big reader at all, Alister, but it's all called Seeing the Sunrise. And there's so many sort of things I picked up from this book that I can sort of relate to. And he talks about the dream versus reality. And he had this with Test cricket, and he got his first baggy green, but that's a dream. Reality is you've got to face the West Indian Quicks on the Wacker. And for me, the dream was always getting drafted. It's like, how good would that be, playing AFL footy? That's the dream. But the reality is the draft is on Friday. Sunday, you're moving to Sydney. Don't know anyone at all. Leaving your family or your friends. Moving into a share house with boys you never know. Don't know how to cook or clean, sort of everything. And that's like, wow. So you turn up there on the Sunday, you sort of meet a few of the boys. Monday morning, 6 o'clock, you're getting up and you're getting to work. So, that was that hit me hard, that you sort of even get home after a big day of training, and you sort of, no one's mum's not there to cook your dinner or whatnot. So you sort of have to work it out. And I think I grew up so quick, but the experience early days was something that was really challenging. I found pre-Christmas, I found pretty easy. Like you sort of think, I've only got 3 or 4 weeks here and I'm back home. But when you get back from Chrissy, you're like, that's it. Until September or whatever it is, I can get back home. So the early days are definitely challenging, and especially when you're playing reserves and you're not playing too well, and sort of questioning like where you're at. And the team was going really well in the seniors, so I couldn't really see myself getting a senior game as well. But I always think if there's one club you'd want to go and when you get drafted to do your apprenticeship, it'd be Sydney, because the lessons I'll learn I'll carry forever throughout my life. And I think Horse was an amazing coach. The standards they set and what the expectations they had on and off the field is sort of it's probably why they're playing finals at most years. So there's no secret to that. And, I was definitely walking in, seeing Adam Goods and Buddy Franklin and those sort of guys. It's crazy to be rubbing shoulders. And probably didn't have the belief when I first got drafted I could sort of match it with those guys. I sort of feel like I was a bit of an imposter there for a long time. And but it sort of work out pretty quickly. If you feel like that, you'd be walked out the door, because you've got to be able to compete for your spot. You've got to be able to compete at training and in games. I think that's what AFL footy is really based upon. So, I absolutely love my 3 years there, and definitely some challenges, but it's really set me up, I think. Yeah,
you played 12 games across 2015 and 2016 there. What do you remember about your AFL debut? I remember I was playing pretty well in the reserves, and I remember saying to my development coach, Nick Davis, at the time, like, mate, what have I got to do? Like, probably young and naive a little bit. You're like, mate, I'm playing so well. Like, what can I do? And I remember him saying, like, I'll go and see Horse then. Oh, God, shouldn't have said that. I remember he helped me, went and knocked on the door, said, Toby wants to have a chat. And I was like, I remember my heart was just sunk. And I sort of walked in there, and I remember I actually sort of said to him, like, mate, I feel like I'm doing everything right. I'm so keen to play. I'm ready. And I remember tears in my eyes, because I was obviously that intimidated. And I had a conversation with Horse, and I sort of walked out there. I was like, geez, I don't know what just happened then. I actually heard that Horse actually loved that for me. And probably I didn't get a game the next week, but probably a month later, I was brought into the office again, and he had a few of the leaders in there with him, and he sort of let me know I was playing. And it's something I'll never forget, that moment. It's sort of just like, I can't wait for this. And I remember running out for my first game, played Port Adelaide on Thursday night, and I just said to myself, I never want to play reserves ever again. This is unbelievable. And still to this day,
I just remember that. And I had all my mum and dad, my brother, my uncle there as well, which was unbelievable. And it's something to share with them. Never forget it.
That's so cool. Do you remember who gave you your jumper?
Yeah, Buddy Franklin. Oh, no, sorry, Kieran Jack. Buddy Franklin was out. So I remember Kieran Jack presented me my jumper and said a few words. And I remember Buddy sort of said to me, mate, you'll love it out there. And to me, I was like, oh, yeah, this is what it's about. I'll never forget him telling me that as well as I was about to run out. So, yeah, Kieran Jack is someone I had so much respect for.
Well, the Bloods culture is much talked about at the Sydney Swans. What was your experience of it when you first arrived there and the expectations and what you had to buy into?
Yeah, as I said, it's sort of nothing I'd ever experienced before, but expectations simply around being accountable for what you have to get there at a certain time. There's a standard that you have to train with, definitely team first attitude as well. And it was no one was above or below. You sort of felt from the best player on the list to I was 18 or 19 coming into the club, the expectations didn't waver. And that was set by a horse. I feel like what he reviewed in team meetings was he would pull out the 18-year-old or he'd pull out the 35-year-old. And I love that. So it's just definitely a wake-up call. But if you want to do your apprenticeship in footy, that would be the best place to go, I think.
So 2017, you end up at Richmond. I mean, I'll say this, it's one of the great bargain trades of all time that you were taken at pick 35 by Sydney and got traded to Richmond at pick 46. That's all they got in return. And then you obviously playing 3 premierships, a premiership in your first year, become the captain of the Richmond Football Club. So what do you remember about the time that you left Sydney for Richmond? Yeah,
I remember I was in the other team, obviously, but Sydney was I think they played grand final in 2014, made the deep into the final 15 and 16, they made the grand final as well. So I remember thinking, I think I played in the semi-final up there against Adelaide, and I think Kurt Tippett was injured, and I've come in and played pretty well, and Kurt come back in, so I missed the prelim. But I was really torn, because I was like, if they're fully fit, I'm probably not playing, but geez, I wouldn't mind playing in the grand final. And just seeing that, I suppose how good a team needs to be to make a grand final, I thought, geez, that would be pretty cool. But I remember sort of got offered a deal there to stay at Sydney, and I couldn't ever see myself leaving. And a few other clubs sort of, my manager sort of put forward, and Richmond were one of them. And I remember catching up with Tim Livingston and Damien Hardwick. I caught up with them at the Coogee Bay Hotel because I was going to the States after the season, so I sort of needed to catch up with them. And I sort of didn't feel right about it. I think this was we had the reserves bye the next day. Yeah, sort of caught up with them and heard what they had to say, and I was just so impressed. I remember leaving and calling my old man and just being like, geez, yeah, I've never thought I'd leave, but yeah, it just sounds unbelievable. Like just the way they sort of rated me and how honest they were with me. I can't remember it. Definitely didn't tell me I'd be playing every week, but he sort of said, mate, I love these areas of your game. There's a few things we need to improve, but you could be a good AFL player. And I probably hadn't heard that to that point. So it's for me leaving, I'm like, yeah, feel pretty good about that, but still didn't see myself leaving. And got to the end of the season and went down there and met him again. And so it sort of happened really quickly. And I sort of was so steadfast on staying. But when I sort of got away and took a breath, I sort of, the opportunity to play senior footy with a coach that sort of rates me, it was too good to turn down. So, yeah, that happened. At the time, I probably didn't realise what was going to happen, but it's worked out pretty well. Definitely.
My word, it has. So Richmond finished 13th the year that you agreed to go there, and then the next year they win a premiership. How do you sort of reflect on that now?
Yeah, it's crazy to think. And being from Sydney, I didn't watch a whole lot of – AFL is not a big thing at all. So normally you watch NRL or footy shows aren't on, so you have no idea. You sort of look at the ladder and think, oh, they're down there. But turning up to pre-season, it's sort of unbelievable to think that the Rance, Rewalt, Koch, Dustin, Shane Edwards, Kane Lambert, like these are absolute grimes, these star players, and it's like, oh, yeah, unbelievable. So I suppose in hindsight it's a wonderful thing, but probably always going to make a tilt at it, knowing the list they had. I just remember how hard they trained. Like Sydney trained hard, but yeah, for that two or three pre-seasons there. They were just, when the footies come out, just how competitive it was. Like at Sydney, it was a little bit of like you sort of look after each other. But I remember Dimmer saying like, no, we're going for it. Like if you get hurt, you get hurt. But the expectation is like you step in, you're ready to go. And the highlights he'd show during the week from training would be like guys going flat out in the air, tackling, ground balls. So that's the standard that you had to train at. And I thought that made us so much better. We sort of built throughout the year. Like we started probably as a bit of a softer draw that lower teams get. We probably started 4 or 5 wins in a row and sort of start to play a few of the better teams, and you're sort of around the mark. I don't know if we might have won or lost a few close ones, and then sort of just build this momentum, and towards the back end of the year, you sort of feel like you could beat anyone. So, and the Tiger Army was unbelievable to see how much had come out. Like obviously being there at Punt Road, walking over the G for the game, and the crowd is just unbelievable. Never seen anything like it, and to run out there in front of 100,000 people, and most of them are Tigers fans, is something you never forget.
That was an extraordinary period when you think about it. I mean, the Richmond fans had been starved of success. You hadn't won a premiership since 1980. You'd had those 3 years where you bowed out in the first week of elimination finals, and then obviously finished 13th. So that you're right. I mean, even just as a neutral watching those games and hearing the roar of the crowd, and when other teams ran out onto the ground completely being drowned out by the Richmond fans, it was extraordinary. So what was grand final day like for you? What are the most profound memories from 2017, the grand final?
The grand final was it's so crazy to think. We sort of had this thing throughout the year where it's sort of in the rooms, it'd sort of be just the old tunes playing, you'd sort of have a laugh and a smile, and I sort of come from Sydney, it was very like serious before the game and sort of getting revved up, where Richmond was so much more relaxed, jovial environment. And I was a bit worried about that early on because I thought, how's this going to stack up? But I was sort of interested to see if in finals, having lost those finals in the previous few years, and sort of could hear the media chat around that, and I suppose the negativity a little bit, questioning whether we'll be able to stack up in finals. And pretend you don't hear it, but you sort of hear those whispers. And I was so happy that we just continued to ride the wave, like walking over the game, just feeding off the energy of the crowd. And you could feel that in the rooms, and walking out there with a smile on your face because you're doing what you love with your mates, quite simply. So I really feel like that just freed us up. And grand final day was no different. You sort of see the Adelaide boys do their power stance, and if you look at our team photo before the game, I think everyone's sort of smiling. So I just think that sets a great precedent for the day.
Yeah. What are your favourite memories from that day in terms of teammates, family, any of those sort of things that you reflect on and think, gee, that's a really special thing?
Yeah, it's probably seeing your families after the game, and it's being able to bring your family on the journey throughout my career is something pretty special to me. So seeing an old man after the game, especially, and he just rides the waves with me. He's sort of, if I play a good game or a bad game, he probably rides the waves more than I do. But seeing him after the game is pretty cool, and my wife as well probably rides the waves more than anyone. I come home and not talk to anyone after I've played bad or have lost or whatnot. She's sort of there through all that. So to see your family and support they give you is awesome. But probably, as you said, the fans have been starved for success for so long. To walk past and to see them, they almost thank you. And it's like, I'm just sort of playing footy, but they sort of mean so much to them. So to have those interactions for the next few weeks after the grand final as well. Yeah,
it's very cool. And then ultimately, 2018 didn't quite work out. Mason Cox played the game of his life in the prelim, but 2019 and 2020 are again very special years where you win premierships. At that stage, did you harbour any sort of thought that you would like to captain the football club one day?
Absolutely not at all. As you said, we went on a pretty good run there for a while, and I was just sort of happy to be a part of the team and such a good environment to be a part of. I think in 2020, we were away in the hub. I sort of got invited into the leadership space a bit more, and I really enjoyed that, a part of it, and sort of didn't have any idea of what, how much work and effort those guys were putting in at the time. I didn't say too much. I remember Kane Lambert sort of said to me, mate, if you have something you feel like you can say, don't be scared to say it. because I sat there for 3 meetings and didn't say a word. But I really enjoyed that part of it, and I had no idea at all that I'd ever be captain of a footy club. And I still remember it might have been 2021, just a year Koch stepped down. I remember going in my exit meeting and Dimmer just sort of asked me the question, like, what are your thoughts on being captain? And I thought, yeah. And Dimmer said, mate, I think you'd be great. Like, if there's someone that I'd want to walk out behind, it'd sort of be you. And I thought, didn't think too much of it, and just went home and sort of had a conversation with Haley. Dimmer said this, but don't think too much of it. But sort of went back there in the pre-season, and I didn't do anything different, but I sort of had that in the back of my mind, and I sort of thought if the senior coach thinks I'd be okay, I sort of took a fair bit of belief out of that, and he by no way assured me that I'd be captain or even anything like that. It was a process that had to happen, but I took so much belief out of Dimmer and sort of mentioned that to me, and he ended up getting the nod alongside Grimesy, and that's another dream versus reality moment there, because I thought up until the point it got announced, I thought, it'd be pretty cool. And then when it got announced, I thought, oh, geez, what have I done here? So much more responsibility. I'm meeting with the board, and you're doing these extra meetings, and you're sort of helping put together a leadership team, and you're sort of thinking about what can we do better at training, and you sort of, the responsibility I felt like on me a little bit. I'll definitely, those first probably 4 or 5 weeks, my head was spinning a little bit, and I was sort of thinking to myself, what do I put myself up for here? But you sort of have to get on with it, because that's part of the job, and you sort of grow so much week in, week out. Still learning every single day now, but I've absolutely loved it.
In terms of your leadership style, then I suppose that's a learnt thing in lots of ways. But when you look back, were there leaders that you were under who you borrowed from?
Yeah, guys that weren't even captains, I think I've learnt so much from, and I've learnt so much from captains as well. But guys like Kane Lambert, who was he didn't say a whole lot, but when he spoke, geez, you'd listen. And I love that. And Van Marich as well, he's my ruck coach at the moment, but just the way he carries himself day in, day out, he's so consistent, which I really value. I think you walk in, you wouldn't know whether he's had a good day or a bad day, because he's that steadfast every single day. And I just love that part about those two guys. The other thing is just from Koch, is just leading with his actions. I think Koch was an unbelievable speaker, which is, I'm nowhere near that. But, what I really valued from Koch is when it was time to get whips a cracking, like he'd be the one to put his head over it or make a tackle or just inspire the team. So I was like, that's how I want to be like on field.
Dimmer, obviously a profound impact on your career at Richmond, obviously with the faith he instilled in you when he first got you there and all the way through, and making you co-captain with Dylan Grimes as well. What about when he left? How challenging was that for you? And I think the writing had been on the wall for a while, hadn't it?
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't see it coming whatsoever, and that's a testament to Dimmer, because he's obviously going through different stuff and whatever, but he didn't let that show to the group one bit, and he was invested as he ever was, I felt like. But when he stepped down, geez, it was a bit of a shock, and you sort of think, just how are we going to do it without him? But the thing with footy clubs is you move on so quick, and even when guys retire, you sort of think, geez, that's going to leave a hole, but someone will pick up the void. And Andrew McGold had come in and was unbelievable for that rest of that year. He done a great job, and Dimmer definitely left a hole. But that's what footy clubs do. You have to move forward, and you sort of be flat for a day or two, but then you got a game to prepare for, so you'd have to move on very quick.
Just wrapping up on Richmond, we could talk a lot about Richmond, but I really want to hone in on the Tassie side of things a bit more. The now, so there were people not expecting Richmond to win a game this year. You won 5 games. You've got a young list. You've brought in new talent. You've got a great hand of draft picks. How are you seeing the now for Richmond?
It's a great environment to be a part of, and you sort of hear the external noise about not winning a game and that. I don't have any social media or whatever, but I still hear it, and I've got so much trust and belief in the group, and I know where we can get to. And I feel I just want to be in a hurry. I think that's probably naive to think it happens that quick, but I'm so keen to get back to work already. And watching footy in September, you're just like so desperate to get back there. So the guys we brought in last year are unbelievable. The coach has done a great job, and I'm sure we're progressing the right way, but hopefully we can just hurry up before I'm too old.
I don't think it's naive when you have the experience of going from the Sydney Swans to winning a premiership in your first year. That's lived experience, Toby. In your cricket journey, you were sort of on the Tassie Tigers path to a certain degree, and there's an element of that at Richmond, both in the history of the football club and the now. What is it like at Richmond, knowing the very deep history and legacy that's been left by great Tasmanians, and also to be one of many there at the club at the moment?
Yeah, it's so cool. I think when I first come down to meet Dimmer and that at Punt Road there, you sort of get a grasp of the history. And Brendan Gale come in and shook me hand and met him, and Dimmer sort of said to me, "Mate, you must be pretty special because Brendan normally stays in the office. He doesn't sort of come down." And I thought, and I got to wear the 25 as well, which is obviously Brendan's number. And he done a great job at the Tigers. And to hear at the best and fairest that the Disco Roach and the goal kicking award, and obviously Royce Hart, Jack Rewalt, the legacy that those guys have sort of left, Richo as well, is pretty cool. So I can no doubt we've got a big contingent of fans down there in Tassie, and definitely a club that I'm very grateful to be at.
So now you've got Sam Banks, Ryan Mansell, Seth Campbell, yourself. Am I missing anyone?
Yeah, and then we've got Sam Lonigan, who's a midfield coach there as well. So
he's from your neck of the woods, isn't he?
Yeah, he's from Beauty Point, there on the water. So across the river there. So it's a very good contingent there.
Now, when you look at what's happening with football in Tasmania, and obviously Brendan Gale did amazing things at Richmond, didn't he? How pleased were you to see that, as much as you didn't want to let him go from Richmond, to see him being responsible for guiding the entry of Tasmania into the AFL?
Oh, yeah, he couldn't get a better guy to do it. And I think, he's obviously got great experience too. I think dealing with some of the things he did at Richmond with the members and I suppose what they had to go through there to get things running smoothly will hold him in great stead. He's got great experience there, and he'll put great people around him. And I'm so excited to see what he can do down there, because he'll do great things.
How did you feel when the AFL, after all those years of Tasmanians bashing on the door and putting up business cases, when they finally allocated the provisional licence for men and women?
Oh, it's unbelievable. And to think that the boys and girls now to have a genuine pathway to go and aspirations to play for the Devils would be so cool. And I don't think it'll matter where any Tasmanian is in Australia. You sort of support. They'll support the Devils, so it'd be so cool to see, and I can't wait for it to get up and running.
When you think about it, I mean, you talked about your path to the AFL, and it probably took a bit longer than might have been the case had you had an environment around you that was different. I know you moved from place to place a lot, but do you think the presence of an AFL team and the pathways that sit underneath that would have made it easier for you?
Oh, absolutely it would, yeah. For boys and girls now to see the genuine pathway there, like you can play for the Tassie Devils in Hobart. It's such an elite level that is so it's unbelievable to think. Like if I'd have missed out on the draft when I was 19 again, sort of looking to go to WA or go to Sandford, and whereas now I think, if I've missed out and I'm 20 years old, I can play VFL for Tassie, and there's a really strong pathway there to play elite level footy and still be a chance to get picked up, which provides such great confidence, I think, for the whole state. And I think everything will feed off that. The lower levels below that will certainly grow. The juniors will certainly grow, boys and girls, which is great.
You see it, I mean, you've got the Corin Gamaji Institute at Punt Road, and you see a lot of the great community work that football clubs do here in Melbourne. It's perhaps not fully understood in Tasmania because we've never had an AFL club down there. How impactful, to your eye, are football clubs on communities?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think we're lucky enough to get out in the community for camps throughout the year, and to see the impact that we can have as a Richmond at Richmond we can have is just so profound. And I suppose I had no idea of that probably until I got to Richmond to see how far that stretches. But definitely such a profound impact.
And going forward, mate, so you've still got a few years definitely left at AFL level. Not even going to ask the tough question of whether you'd consider going home, but what would it be like for you if you ran out as the Richmond captain against Tasmania in 2028? Would that be a slightly odd thing?
It would definitely be, yeah. It would be a weird thing to think, but Definitely, I'd love to see them up and running in the competition. Hopefully, while I'm still playing, I'm not sure whether that'll be or whether I'll still be running around at that stage. But it'd be a cool moment nonetheless. And especially down in Tassie, playing down there in front of a packed house. We know how passionate the fans are down there, so it'd be unreal.
All right, one last one on the Tassie Devils side of things, and a very serious question. What did you think of Rumman?
Yeah, Rumman's scary. We played down in at Blunston down there, Ninja Stadium now it's called, actually, down there around 23, and Rumman come out onto the oval. It's a scary little unit, Rumman, but I'll leave that to the powers that be to see whether that gets a run in a couple of years or not.
Yeah, brilliant, mate. It's been awesome chatting to you. I know tomorrow potentially for you is a huge day in the Nankervis household. Is this going to be the first grandchild?
No, my brother, he's got a little 8-month-old girl, Ellie, so I'll be definitely on the phone to him asking some advice soon, but no, it's pretty cool. My mum and dad are absolutely stoked, so no doubt they'll come over and stay with us for a bit. And
I often ask my guests one last question about Tasmania before we wrap up, and it's, where do you send people? Where do you tell them to go if people ask you about Tasmania and what they should go and see if they visit? Where's your favourite part of Tassie and what's a must-see?
Oh, there's so much. I think the East Coast, you can't go wrong, but myself and Sam Banks recently played at 7 Mile Beach Golf Course, so if you can get straight off the plane and get to one of the best golf courses, I reckon, in about 15 minutes, you're definitely doing that, and after you finish there, go down to Barnbougle. That would be my advice. Oh,
I'm happy to take that advice for sure. Toby Nankervis, really appreciate you having a chat. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Alister. Thanks for having me.
Toby Nankervis. Toby and his wife Hayley welcomed a baby boy Jack just days after we recorded this conversation. A huge and heartfelt congratulations to both of them. Big Nank and Little Nank, hey? Thanks for listening to Toby's story. He really is an inspirational figure. For more conversations with great Tasmanians, you can subscribe to The Heart of It or download episodes wherever you get your podcasts. I'll catch you next time.